What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing a preview for Game Week 10 and also a quick review of our Game Week 9 results. So, getting right into it then. So we had Turner in goal, and it was a bit of a disappointment. He was 2-0 up, absolutely cruising against Luton, and then Forest decide, you know what, I know we're at home, I know we're against arguably the worst team in the league, but we're just going to go and concede 2 goals in the last 5 minutes for absolutely no reason other than the banter, the 16.6% ownership that Turner has. Not really much we can do about it now, but luckily Areola, who was on my bench, didn't outscore him or anything, so it didn't end up being too big of a deal. And then moving on to the defenders, it was only Trippier that delivered for me. Obviously he got an assist, a clean sheet, and he got 2 bonus points against Crystal Palace at home. And Trippier really is just a bonus points magnet at this stage. He got booked and he's still got 2 bonus points. Usually when a player gets booked, it takes him out of the bonus points, but he's just that good apparently that he's getting bonus points every game. And then with Udogie, obviously it was an unfortunate one, kind of the same as Turner. Obviously Spurs didn't concede, but they obviously went off 5 minutes before that 60-minute cut-off for the clean sheet points. Now, at the time of recording, it's currently 7:15 on Thursday, and the deadline's Friday at 6 p.m. Postecoglou had his press conference today, because obviously Spurs played tomorrow in that Friday night game, and he did say that Udogie was subbed off about 55 minutes in because he felt tightness in his hamstring, and they're going to wait and see now and evaluate him to see if he can play. So that's kind of a concern for me, because obviously Udogie, I had him in my starting lineup for the next game week, but Spurs have the likes of Emerson Royale to cover him if needs be, so it wouldn't surprise me if Udogie's dropped for the next game, which is frustrating. But obviously because they're the first game, at least we can kind of wait and see if there's any team news, if there's any leaks or anything before we make that decision. And then moving on to Matty Cash, I did mention in my Game Week 9 deadline that I didn't expect anything from him in this game. It would have been nice if I got something like an attacking return, but I didn't expect him to keep a clean sheet against West Ham. To be fair, Bowen did score for West Ham, and it was a really fortunate goal. It was a big deflection, so we can maybe count ourselves unlucky that he didn't get any clean sheet points. But either way, Cash is still a really, really good hold for the next few fixtures. The next 3 especially, he's got Luton, Forest and Fulham, so obviously the Luton and Fulham games are at home as well, so I'm expecting good returns from Cash in those games, and hopefully some attacking returns as well. And then quickly moving into the midfield, I obviously brought in Richarlison on my wild card just as like a 2-game week punt, and it did end up paying off for me, because the alternatives to Richarlison for game week 8 and 9 for me anyway were Matoma and Diaby, and obviously Richarlison got subbed off early against Luton because of that red card Basuma got, but against Fulham he got an assist, and he actually seems to be slowly picking up his returns recently. He got an assist against Sheffield, he got an assist against Liverpool, and now he's got an assist against Fulham as well. He actually seems to be doing better in that left wing role, and Son through the middle. Obviously at the start of the season it was Richarlison through the middle and then Son on the left, so that little swap between them has actually worked well for both of them. But either way, this most likely will be Richarlison's last game week in my team, because there is better options now in his price range. Obviously Matoma has better fixtures. Diaby, I was kind of going to bring him in when a wild card it, but he had a slight injury out at the time, so I just thought Richarlison was the better option, and like I said, it actually did pay off for me because he has more points than Matoma and Diaby in the last 2 game weeks. And then the 2 big hitters in my midfield were Salah and Son. Unfortunately, I didn't captain Salah again, so that's 2 game weeks in a row where I've captained Haaland over Salah, and Salah has destroyed me. Obviously still great for me to have him in the team. It's even worse if you're not a Salah owner. I've had him in since game week 1, so luckily that wasn't an issue for me. But yes, he was my vice captain, not my captain. Either way, we'll take the 16-point return. But I have to say that he was quite lucky to get that 16-point return. He obviously scored a penalty, and yes, penalties are great. Obviously, there's a reason why we bring penalty takers in our team, but it's not really the source you want to be relying on for goals. And then obviously he did get an open play goal, but it was sort of when Everton were pushing players forward. They were already down to 10 men. And it was like 1 swift counter attack, and I think it was like the 87th minute or something he scored. But he actually wasn't really at much the whole game. He wasn't really impressive. It wasn't a class performance like it was the week before against Brighton. But that's exactly why I had Salah in my team since game week 1, because he sort of feels inevitable. I said that way back then. Obviously everyone was saying at the start of the season, oh, I don't really know if I want Salah because he didn't have that great of a season last season. But like I said, he's kind of just inevitable. Even when he's playing badly, he can just pop up with 2 or 3 goals. So yes, Salah, 2 goals against Everton and the 3 bonus points as well. And then obviously Son, he got a goal, assist and 3 bonus points against Fulham. Fulham at home was a really good fixture, so if you did captain Son for that fixture, then Fair play. And then Pedro Neto got me a little assist against Bournemouth. He was actually quite unlucky to not get more. He hit the crossbar early on in the game. The yellow card was unfortunate because obviously he took one of the points off. But I'm happy with Neto. Obviously, it was a really good fixture for him, so I was hoping he was going to get a little bit more than just an assist. But he's now returned in 7 straight games. So for 5.7 million, I got him for 5.7 million. He's went up in price to 5.8 million now. So for 5.7, 5.8 million, you can't really complain when he's getting returns consistently. Obviously, you've got players in and around his price like Gordon who are also returning consistently. But Gordon's fixtures are about to turn tough. I will be going into the Newcastle fixtures a bit later in this video though. But yeah, I'm happy enough with Neto as a budget option for now. And then moving on to the front three, obviously they all smashed it for me this week. Watkins got a goal and an assist and 2 bonus points, absolutely flying against West Ham. And his fixtures only get better now, like obviously touched on with Cash as well. He's got Luton, Forest and Fulham for the next 3. So those next 3 fixtures 100% are really good. He does have Spurs away after that, which is a difficult fixture. But you would still fancy him to get a goal in that game. And then Bournemouth away is a really good fixture for them as well. So it's only really game week 15, 16 that I'll start sort of considering taking out Villa assets. But for now, they're locked in my team 100%. Haaland back in the score sheet, which was good to see. Obviously was hoping he would do a little bit better. But we'll take the goal and we'll take the 2 bonus points. And then looking at his XG for that game, it was significantly better than the last couple of games where he blanked. Obviously against Wolves, he had 0.06 XG. And against Arsenal, he literally had 0 XG. So obviously back up to 0.26 for him. Still obviously pretty low for his standards, but it's good to see him back in the score sheet again. He has United and Bournemouth next. As a United fan, it pains me to say this, but with the way United are playing right now, we were playing Copenhagen midweek there, and Copenhagen actually put up more XG against us than United did, and that's at home. So the one thing I would have clung on to as a United fan last season was our home form was great. But already this season, we struggled to beat Wolves at home. We struggled to beat Copenhagen at home. And then obviously we'll get beat by Brighton and we'll get beat by Crystal Palace at home as well. So with City's form at the moment, it's not looking great as a United fan, even though it is at Old Trafford. And then obviously Haaland has Bournemouth after that as well. So he's a strong captaincy option for that fixture. I probably will captain him for that fixture, but I'll get into that a little bit later. And then obviously Alvarez, our last striker, 3 bonus points for him, a goal for him. The goal was a little bit lucky because he kind of like hit it into the ground. He didn't get the proper connection on it. But either way, he was in the right place at the right time again. It was Doku just driving at the fullbacks, getting to the byline, and just a simple cutback for Alvarez. And that's one thing I've noticed on a consistent basis with Alvarez playing off Haaland. So I think the reason why we're not seeing as big an impact in terms of goals from Haaland this season, and don't get me wrong, he's still scoring plenty of goals. I think that's 9 or 10 goals he's on for this season already. But when he was scoring for fun last season, KDB was behind him, just creating chances galore for him. Whereas this season, Alvarez still has that little creative spark to him. He can play a nice little neat pass in behind for him when he's in that position. But what I'm noticing a lot is Haaland will have 2 defenders marking him, and then Alvarez is ghosting into the box, acres of space, and he's just scoring so many goals where he has so much space and time to place the ball wherever he wants. And his goal against Brighton was a prime example of that. So even though Haaland and Alvarez both have United next, and I'm obviously a United fan, so don't want to sit and say they're probably going to tank us. But they're probably going to tank us, if we're being honest. But yeah, overall, really happy with that game week. Even though I didn't captain Salah, I still ended on 90 points. And if I go to my game week history here, as you can see, I was rank 517k. In game week 8, I went up to 305k now, so I've went up over 200k ranks this week, so pretty successful, and we will try and keep that going into the next game week. So moving on to next game week, this is my provisional team, so this is not confirmed yet. So I've got Areola in goal. He's locked in goal. He's 100% going to start for me because I'm not going to start Turner against Liverpool. So Areola in goal. He's got Everton at home. Then I've got Trippier, Cash, and Udogie. Cash is 100% locked in the team. I'm not 100% sure if Trippier's going to be in my team for this game week, but I'll get into that in a little bit. And then with Udogie, obviously I want him to start this game, but I'm not 100% sure if he's going to. So he's a potential transfer out as well. But like I said earlier, because he's the Friday night game, we might get some team news before the deadline. So I'm kind of just holding out for now to see if we get any team news tomorrow. And then I'll make that transfer tomorrow if the team leaks and I see that he's not starting. But obviously with Postecoglou in his press conference earlier today, like I mentioned earlier, he said that he felt tightness in his hamstring, so they're going to wait until tomorrow and assess it and see if he's going to start. Not expecting him to start with the cover that Spurs have available, but we'll wait and see. And then as it stands, my midfield is Neto, Salah, Son, Richarlison. So out of those 4 midfielders, the one that 100% leaves my team this week is Richarlison. So I'll get into my potential transfers in a minute. Neto and Salah are locked in my team for this week. Obviously, the fixture for Neto isn't ideal. But saying that, a couple of weeks ago, they were playing City at home and they managed to beat them. And City are a much better team than Newcastle. So if they can beat City at home, Gary O'Neill's really got that Wolves team like super organised. And they're really punching above their weight right now in terms of their performances. I've been really impressed with Gary O'Neill at Wolves. So there's every chance that he goes and grabs another assist against Newcastle. And then obviously Salah's completely locked for me. I've got him as my vice captain at the moment. That's probably the first thing that a lot of people noticed is I've got Watkins as captain. I'll speak about that in a second. But yes, Salah is obviously nailed in my team. There's no chance he's leaving my team anytime soon. His fixtures are just unbelievable for the next while. Forest, Luton, Brentford. He does have City. The Liverpool games against City are even high scoring, so he's probably going to return in that too. Then Fulham, Sheffield, Palace. So yeah, he's pretty much locked for the foreseeable future. And then Son is also a potential transfer out this week, believe it or not. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to transfer like 4 players out. So Trippier, Udogie, Son are potential transfers out. Richarlison's 100% a transfer out. The reason I'd consider transferring Son out, obviously I brought him in my wild card a couple of weeks ago and he's a great asset. He's obviously a striker for Spurs. Spurs are flying at the moment, so it seems a bit nonsensical to transfer him out. But if you look at his fixtures, obviously previously he had fixtures like Luton and Fulham. That's the 2 I brought him in for. But if you look at his previous fixtures here, obviously he blanked the first 3 in the season. Then he just scored a hat-trick out of nowhere when he moved to 9. Then he blanked against Sheffield. Then he scored 2 against Arsenal. He did score a goal against Liverpool as well, but then he blanked against Luton and then scored against Fulham. So basically the point I'm making here is he's still a little bit inconsistent. Like he's not returning every single game. Obviously that's a crazy thing to expect from any player, but if I'm spending 9.5, obviously I got him for 9.4. If I'm spending that much on a player, then I'm expecting a return every game. And obviously if I'm transferring Son out, obviously it's going to be for this guy, Bukayo Saka. I had him in my team since game week 1. I only transferred him out on my wild card because he was an injury doubt for a while, but he seems to be back in the team now. I'm not 100% sure if he's 100% fit, but he seems to be back in the team for now and his fixtures are really, really good for the next while. Sheffield United at home is the big one this game week, so I really want him in my team for that fixture. Newcastle away is a really difficult fixture, but then after that it's Burnley at home, Brentford away, Wolves at home, Luton away. So right up until game week 15, he's pretty much a lock. You could potentially transfer him out for game week 16, 17 and 18 because Villa, Brighton and Liverpool are really difficult fixtures. But then right after that, again, he's back in a good block of fixtures. West Ham at home, Fulham away, Palace at home, Forest away. So Saka's a long-term hold, to be honest. And my intention was always to get him back into my team once he'd sort of recovered from that knock that he had. And then obviously we were just looking at Saka's fixtures. If we look at Son's fixtures in comparison, he's got Palace away, and I know people are going to say Palace just lost 4-0 to Newcastle, so why would you not want Son in your team for Palace away? And I understand that, but Palace, when they're at home, are a different animal. And with Son, he still seems to be carrying a knock. Obviously, he went away on international duty, played for South Korea, came back, played 81 minutes against Fulham on the Monday, and now they're playing on the Friday. So I'm not convinced he's going to play 90 minutes against Palace. It's probably going to be like another 70, 80 minute game for him. And then after Palace away, which is really difficult, like I said, then you've got Chelsea at home. And they've actually been really defensively good this season. Obviously, that fixture might be okay because Spurs are playing at home, but Chelsea are pretty good defensively this season. And then I've got Wolves away, and I obviously touched on Wolves already. I think Gary O'Neill's got them really, really well organised at the moment. Then they've got Villa at home, and then they've got City away. So for the next 5 fixtures, Saka has way better fixtures, so there definitely is a strong case to be made to just swap Son out and put Saka in. Obviously, if you can get both, happy days, and there is a way I could get both, and I'll go through that in a second. And then moving on to that front three is pretty much locked for me. like I said before, Alvarez and Haaland, it isn't the most ideal fixture for them because even though United are terrible at the moment, Old Trafford's still a hard place to go to. But even though the game is at Old Trafford and there is that cliche of form goes out the window in derbies, I just can't see Alvarez and Haaland not being involved in the goal somehow. Their next block of fixtures isn't really great, to be honest. Obviously, Bournemouth after this is a great fixture, but then after that, they've got Chelsea, Liverpool and Spurs. So for the next block, you could probably get away with just going for one City asset, but obviously I've got two at the moment and I don't plan on transferring them out because both of them are in just fantastic form right now. Obviously, Haaland, for his standards, not in fantastic form, but him in not fantastic form is 9 goals and 1 assist this season. So I think it's just too much of a risk to not have him in your team. And then the big choice in this team I've got at the moment is obviously Watkins as captain. So at the time of recording, Villa are actually playing right now in the Europa League or the Conference League, I think it is. I can't remember. It's one or the other. But Watkins has just scored against AZ Alkmaar. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that team name right, but he's just scored again. Obviously, Alkmaar aren't Premier League opposition, but still, he's in the form of his life right now. A couple of weeks ago, I said that Watkins was in the form of his life, and some people laughed at me. But I have to say, who's laughing now? No, in all seriousness though, Watkins is in fantastic form right now. He's got Luton at home. Obviously, you're looking at Salah there maybe for the armbands. He's got Forest at home. But like I mentioned about Salah before, he was kind of lucky to get that 16-point return against Everton because he got a penalty and then a counter-attacking goal in the 87th minute. Watkins overall, his overall play looks far better right now. He's got a higher non-penalty XG than Salah right now. And Luton are just terrible. Villa at home as well right now. Villa are destroying teams at home, so I fully fancy Watkins for this fixture. And the armbands on him provisionally. It might change before then, but I think I'm going to stick with Watkins as captain. Now, obviously, when I figure out a way to get Saka into this team, he's going to have Sheffield United at home, so he's another strong captaincy option, and it's pretty much going to be between Saka and Watkins for that. But I'm really fancying Watkins for that Luton game with Villa's form at home right now. If I just bring up their games and go through their home form, so in their recent home games, they've beat West Ham 4-1, Brighton 6-1, Crystal Palace 3-1, and have also beat Everton 4-0. So they're all at home. They're just banging goals in for fun right now at home. And obviously Watkins, with the form he's in, he's definitely going to play a part in a lot of those goals. Now, obviously, there's every chance that Villa can go out there and only win like 1 or 2-0 or whatever. But with just how bad Luton are at the moment and how good Villa are playing right now, I don't even think that Watkins is like a punt anymore. I think he's actually, in my opinion, the best captaincy option for this weekend. So yeah, Watkins is like 90% locked to be my captain this week, I'd say. Obviously, again, I can change my mind before the deadline. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick with Watkins. So just going through my potential transfers for this game week. Obviously, you can see I've got 3 flags in my team, Lamptey, Anderson and Udogie. Obviously, Lamptey and Anderson are bench players, so that wasn't the biggest concern that they're flagged, but it's still not ideal. And then Udogie is the one that really might have messed up my transfer plans this week. So before Udogie got flagged today, my transfer plans were Richarlison out and either Son out or Trippier out. And the reason for one of those players going out is, as I explained before, I want Bukayo Saka in. So if I go down the route of taking Son out with Richarlison, it would be a straight swap between Richarlison and Matoma. I would bring Matoma in because obviously his fixtures are fantastic for the next 4. You've got Fulham, Everton, Sheffield and Forest. I really fancy him for that Fulham at home game and the Sheffield at home game as well. The Everton one's a little bit unpredictable because I don't think Everton are actually as bad as people say they are right now. I think they've got the highest XG in the league right now, actually, but they're just not scoring goals. And then Forest away is a pretty tricky fixture too. But either way, in those 4 games, there's a strong chance of returning. And like I said, the Fulham game at home and the Sheffield game at home, they're the 2 fixtures I really fancy him for. So I definitely want Matoma this week. And then obviously the other transfer would be Son out and Saka in. And we spoke about why that transfer is being made before. Saka has way better fixtures. Now, the other way that I could get Saka into my team would be removing Richarlison, removing Trippier, and then I would go from Trippier down to Tsimikas. Obviously, Tsimikas seems to be the nailed-on left-back for Liverpool right now because of Robertson's long-term injury. And if you look at his fixtures, he's got Forest at home next, then Luton away, Brentford at home. He does have that City away fixture, but by then you'd be able to get a backup defender in to cover him. And then he has Fulham, Sheffield and Palace, so he's a good long-term hold, and he's probably going to play all of those fixtures because I don't think Robertson's expected back for like another 11 to 12 weeks. So yes, it would be Trippier down to Tsimikas. Another defender I did consider was Soufal, but with Soufal, he just got flagged today. I think he will recover from that injury fairly quickly, but obviously I'm not going to bring a player in who might not play the next fixture, but Soufal has really, really good fixtures for the long term. Everton at home, Brentford away, Forest at home, Burnley away, Palace, Spurs, Fulham, Wolves. So basically right up till game week 17, he has pretty good fixtures. The Spurs one would be the most difficult between all of those, but every other fixture is winnable for them, and they could definitely get clean sheets in a lot of them too. So he's someone I did look at for 4.6 mil, but obviously, like I say, because of his knock, it would be Tsimikas this week. So yes, Trippier down to Tsimikas, and then that means I could just upgrade Richarlison to Saka. So that's another way that I can get Saka into my team this week. So it basically becomes a Son versus Trippier battle. Who do you think is going to do better across the next few fixtures? So obviously we've went through Son's fixtures already. Pretty tricky. They've got Palace away, Chelsea at home, Wolves away, Villa at home, City away for the next 5. And if we look at Trippier's next 5, kind of the same story. Really tricky fixtures. Wolves away, and obviously I've talked about Wolves a couple of times this video. Gary O'Neill's got them really, really well organised right now. They're no joke. And then I've got Arsenal at home, which is obviously a really difficult fixture. Bournemouth away should be an easy one for them. Then I've got Chelsea at home, Man United at home. So the next 5 for both Trippier and Son are pretty difficult. Now the thing with Trippier is at least the difficult fixtures he's got, Arsenal, Chelsea and United, the really difficult fixtures are at home. And sometimes Newcastle just start playing like Real Madrid at home. But you see the point in making. Son and Trippier both have tricky fixtures for the next 5, so it just becomes a who do you think's going to outscore the other in the next 5. Obviously, Son is playing as a number 9 for Tottenham, so he's more than likely going to outscore Trippier. But if I go the Saka Son route and then obviously downgrade Trippier to Tsimikas, it means that I have no Mitoma for the Fulham at home game, and I really, really like the look of Mitoma for that Fulham at home game. So yes, obviously you can see the headache that I've been dealing with all week trying to decide which route to go. But then as I was trying to decide all of that, Udogie gets flagged today, so I'm more than likely going to have to take out Udogie or upgrade Kabore or Lamptey to like a 4.5 million defender. So let's just say I take Kabore out of my team and I upgrade him to Tsimikas at 4.5 million. That leaves me with 0.4 million in the bank. If I take out Richarlison, that only leaves me with 6.3 million in the bank, so I can't afford Mitoma anymore because he's 6.5 million. So the only other move I will be able to do to get Saka into the team at that point, because I've obviously used one transfer already for Tsimikas, would be Son out and then Saka in. Obviously, because I'm having to use the Tsimikas transfer to get cover for Udogie, I wouldn't be able to then downgrade Trippier to Tsimikas or a cheaper defender to then get Saka in for Richarlison. And I'm not the biggest fan of having Richarlison in my team for another game week. Obviously, I did mention earlier, recently he has slightly improved in terms of his assists. He's got an assist against Fulham, assist against Liverpool, an assist against Sheffield as well, but he's still just a little bit too inconsistent for me, and he was only meant to be a 2-game week punt, so I don't really want to keep him in for another fixture. And another thing to keep in mind as well is Brennan Johnson is getting back to fitness for Spurs, and I know for a fact Postecoglou is going to favour him over Richarlison, so I want to get Richarlison out of my team sooner rather than later. So that's my dilemmas for this game week. So if you've got any similar dilemmas, let me know in the comments below. But basically where I'm at the moment with my game week 10 team is I'm just waiting until tomorrow to see if we get any sort of team leaks or team news before the Spurs game. But if Udogie misses out, then I'm probably going to have to do Tsimikas in and Saka in. And obviously I do want Mitoma for that Fulham fixture, but I don't think it's worth transferring Richarlison out for Mitoma for like a -4. I don't think that's worth taking a hit for. Do I think Mitoma's going to outscore Richarlison this game week? Absolutely I do. But I'm just not 100% sure if that transfer is worth a hit. Obviously I'll make my mind up tomorrow before the deadline. And on that note, I will be doing a deadline stream tomorrow as well and sort of making my final decisions there, keeping an eye to see if we get any team leaks. So if you're interested in being around when I make my decisions, make sure you subscribe to the channel and you should get a notification when I go live tomorrow. But that's going to do it for this week. I appreciate you guys watching the video. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy it and let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling about game week 10. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.